I've set up this lovely project that I want to work on. So I'm in the middle of creating my own work by choreographing and directing my piece I'm creating at the moment, and developing and looking into R&D of making things work that I've got in my lifespan, building my life into a contemporary dance piece.
I'm Alex and I'm the director of Anjali Dance Company, and we are a learning disabled dance company based in the Midlands. Anjali has a main performance company that tours nationally and internationally, and we have an extensive engagement and development programme alongside that. But the main strategic objective of our company is to give people with learning disabilities a choice about having a creative career rather than having the choice made for them. Anjali's observation of the sector is that there's a gap in mid-career support for learning disabled artists in exploring independent practices and giving them the opportunity to have a portfolio career. So Anjali has been really excited to explore through this project how we can support and develop different programs and projects for mid-career artists so that they can transition from being within a company structure into being an independent artist.
My name is Gary Clark and I am an artistic director and choreographer, and I'm choreographing a work in collaboration with Nick from Anjali. So I've been working really closely with Nick to design essentially an autobiographical solo which looks at Nick's life and all the episodes that have happened in his life to kind of get him to the stage where he is now. So we've been really kind of unpicking and interrogating what those episodes are and what we want to say with those episodes to create a piece of dance theatre. So it's a piece of storytelling, it has a real clear narrative, and really kind of using Nick's skills and leaning into his strengths and his desires and wants and his personal life, and trying to kind of represent that the best we can in a cohesive piece of work.
So I'm Rachel Liggett and my role is many things. Part of my role is to support Nick, and that means really practical access support. So it's meeting him at the train station, finding the location, checking into the hotels, and that's a really key support role. And then one of my other roles is just a really ongoing dialogue with Nick, working on the schedule together, the plan of action, and then in the studio I see my role as really two parts. So one is to support Gary's directorial role and to reinforce and support that with Nick, and also to have that consistent dialogue with Gary and just looking at the work and what's arising and talking about it and then documenting that. And then really there's a bit of a rehearsal director role, so those moments where Gary's managing the music edits, having an interview, whatever that is, I'm then holding that space for Nick. And that's when we go over the cues, we go over the material, we might have a 5-minute break if he needs it. So that constant check-in and holding of space.
It's me now!
Don't stop the camera, keep it rolling. We have a system called the traffic light system, which is a way of kind of checking in with each other on a daily basis at different moments during the process. And it's a way of kind of quickly getting to understand how we are all feeling in the room. So red traffic light would mean I'm not okay and I just need to take a moment. Amber is I'm doing okay but I might need a moment in a bit. And green is I'm all good to go.
Yeah.
So, and it's something we do every day. So we're going to do a traffic light now. So I'm green.
I'm green. And I'm green!
What's really beautiful about the process is there is a lot of space in it, and that communication of what's needed at any given moment is really beneficial to how we're working in the studio, what everybody's getting from it. It's checking in with Nick constantly, it's asking if he needs a bit of time out, if he needs a coffee, if he needs a break. That beautiful shifting roles between us, so Nick might step out and I might model what Nick's doing so he can see it from an outside directorial point of view and just get a sense of how it's looking and feeling in a different body. We're going back to the drawing board and using paper and pen to literally write down the flow, the structure of the piece. So Nick's got a real understanding about where it's coming from, about how it mirrors his life story and how that material has arisen out of him, really.
What we've got here is a visual representation of Nick's life. We asked Nick to compile the timeline of his life and all of the different episodes that he remembers or feel like has kind of shaped him, but then also asked him to bring in objects from home that connect to each moment. So what we're doing is developing a corner of research that we can kind of return to and refer to throughout the process. And it just keeps on building. And a lot of this is also going to be integrated into the choreography.
I love working in this process. I just love researching my entire life in shreds of paper, in words and movement, and of course, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so we put teeny little segments from that. That really inspires me a lot.
We are in block 3 now of the process at Chisenhale Dance Space in London. And this next phase, this next block, is an opportunity for us to start to really choreograph the movement for the work. I think it's fair to say in block 1 and 2, we were just mapping out ideas, doing a lot of research, understanding the kind of premise of the piece, which we've done. So I think now, this block and moving on to the next block, it's really about kind of cementing some of these ideas.
So in a warm-up, I mainly do like every day when I'm rehearsing in the process. We do like eye contact with 2 people in the space, just moving around the space and staying with eye contact, which is brilliant. So let's come over here. So this is strength. So we're looking into different ways of shifting the body, like really taking it into different parts of the bodies in the space, and it feels really good. Mainly sit-ups or press-ups or push-ups. You can do that in the space. Let's come over here. So this one is mainly balance. Mainly in the space, you do a load of balance in dance, but this time when you're warming up, there's a really good exercise to do in the space. So it's amazing to use that.
Something for me about decision making, which is really important and really key with Nick, that every decision that we're making, it's all in consultation with Nick. It's not done in isolation. Right from music choices through to content, through to costume, etc. It's always in discussion and a collaboration and a dialogue. So anyway, we always say to Nick, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
What about this? Do you like that? Do you want to change that? How does that feel? As a way of gaining that clarity of being clear about decisions, decision making, especially in a creative context when we've got limitless opportunities and limitless possibilities. I think part of leadership is really being able to decide on something and know the reasons why, and then be able to kind of follow that through with action. And that's definitely something that we're doing on every layer of the piece that we're making. And it's fair to say it's a multi-layered piece that deals with spoken word, music, movement, prop, costume, gesture, storytelling, narrative. There's so many decisions that have been made, even to get us to this stage, which Nick has been 100% involved in making those decisions. Because I think if we focus a lot of time on one section of choreography, we're not going to get the whole piece. So I feel like I want to do as much as you can. So like massage it, but not worry too much if you can't remember. Or if it's good to, I think you need to almost remember, try and remember the order of things rather than the actual choreography.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
And we'll do a lot of shouting and going like, right now, wedding dress, cake, but then we'll just get a real sense of how it works as a structure.
Yeah. Leadership, what does that mean in whatever context that we work? Micro moments, bigger moments, improvisational moments of the dance itself, embodied improvisational ownership of the space is leadership. So it's so many different combinations, the subtleties of leadership right through to the bigger moments of owning that leadership space. And just that really simple things of just encouraging artists to go, okay, what do you need right now? And really pushing for us as individuals to find that space to be able to answer that, you know, without moving on quickly or going on to the next part or somebody else answering or whatever we find ourselves doing, but really go back to what Gary said, giving it the space for Nick to lead in really micro ways, but also the bigger picture as well.
Then you go, not the queen, a queen.
Is it that or the?
The
Not the queen. Yeah, so it's not the
queen, a queen.
I have learned really hard on making ideas for direction, for the way I want it for a solo. Do this, don't do that kind of process.
It's been incredible to see Nick develop and grow over the course of the process. We were really keen that the process was broken up into kind of small chunks over a long period of time, so there is moments of growth and reflection. I think we've really seen that. Not only just as an artist, but as a leader, as a promoter of his own work. He's now able to really speak about his work in a real kind of intelligent and articulate way. He really knows what the work is and where it's come from and what the purpose is. And he's also really grown in terms of seeing the work past the studio, but where the potential is for it to potentially go on tour, but also what the work needs in terms of its infrastructure, marketing, funding. He's already talking about audience development. And that's just really lovely to kind of see him, you know, kind of transfer from an artist into an artistic director, almost into a promoter and producer.
Yes, I'm looking forward to working with another choreographic process to develop more with this project and ideas, how we can take it to other places. It's just going to be one amazing piece. One amazing project, yes. I have a wonderful team that's backing me, they're amazing, and I just fell in love with this particular work.
Use the ankles and circles, beautiful, Nick. Then the eyes start to open, and we have a silent scream, heart signal on, beautiful. It's been a real joy working collaboratively. The kind of synergy between all three of us has been really well balanced and progressive and collaborative. And I really feel like we're all in agreement on a lot of things and we're all coming from the same page. There's been very, very few, if any, kind of disagreements or unclarity. It feels like we've got a real clarity on what we're trying to achieve, hasn't it? And I think we've all kind of had our own part to play in that.
Yeah. I love working on this project with my team. I just love working with you guys. It's been fabulous.
If you constantly prompt someone, there's no ownership, and there's a bigger picture around that. Like, how do you provide that space without jumping in too soon? And it's really common with people with disabilities to be jumped in or to fill that gap or to talk for people. So it's actually just letting go. It's Gary and I just letting go and handing over and trusting. But the more you prompt, the more a person becomes reliant on you, and that's what we don't want. This is Nick's work, this is Nick's solo. And sometimes Professionals really struggle with that. You actually do less and less. We're doing less and less as we pull back. Now it's yours. We're just supporting this to flourish. More trial and error, more testing. We're testing, really. It's that testing ground, a safe testing ground.
I'll take the camera.
I'm prepping.
Stop it, you
Really are that when you went.
I know, I love it.
Oh, no, you do.
I think this project has been really successful in lots of different ways. From just observing Rach, Gary and Nick in the studio, you can see like the pure joy and all that they've achieved. But also seeing Nick in wider context, so outside of this project back in the main company and in himself as an individual, his confidence, his self-perception, his ability to articulate his own thoughts has just massively come on. These are all things that we didn't necessarily anticipate, but it has had a wider impact. And we're really excited about where the project can lead us to next. So this has enabled us to apply for an Arts Council project grant for Nick to hopefully develop the work further into a piece of touring work. And then Nick has also just been commissioned by Liberty Festival in London as an R&D artist. So he's already getting recognition for the work he's done. And that's brilliant because it allows us to keep going on this trajectory of progression for him. And it allows Anjali as a company to really understand what it takes to support mid-career learning disabled artists beyond the life of a performer as such, or in other roles as well as a performer. And then what that means is that we can really think about how we strategically position ourselves in the sector to address some of the challenges that are there and the gaps that continue to exist.
I think when we look back to the beginning of the process and now we've only had 10 days and we started off with a blank page, we had nothing, we've done incredibly well, and I think we've managed to pull together a really strong, articulate, intelligent, beautiful piece of autobiographical work for Nick. I think the next stage of development is to come back to it, start again and work through the piece slowly, choreographically, and build up that retention in Nick and build up that memory, the physical memory and the mental memory, so we can start to implement that choreography on repeat time and time again. And then hopefully it'll be a ready piece of work. So I'm really excited to see the next stage of development. I feel like we've gone as far as we can with this block. We're going to document it all, both digitally and mentally and physically in note form, to kind of create a nice pack which then can be carried on into the next stage.
I'm shouting at you in the studio and I'm like, point your feet, extend those arms.
I know.
What? You know, you don't do any of that in the studio.
I don't want to show off in front of others.
Oh, okay, so now you want to show off.
Yeah.
That makes sense.